The moment I saw my name under toilet duty Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I knew I wasn't family anymore. I was staff. And not even paid staff, the kind you can guilt into staying late and pretend you're doing them a favor. The laminated chore chart had magnet clips. Real cute. A pastel border, bubbly font, even a cartoon broom. Mallory's name wasn't on it. Neither was Derek's. Just mine. Eleanor Brooks. Age 66, retired, widow, and apparently full-time domestic help. We just need some structure, Ellie, Mallory said sweetly, sipping a green smoothie that cost more than my weekly groceries. You're so good at routines. You know, old school. Old school. Right. Little did he know, the woman he tossed out like trash was about to become his landlord. If you're watching this, subscribe and tell me in the comments where you would have drawn the line. I turned to my son, who was pretending his phone was more interesting than his mother being demoted to janitor. Derek. He didn't look up. Just muttered. It's just until the baby comes, Mom. Don't make it weird. Don't make it? I inhaled. Slow. Controlled. You want me to unclog your toilet 3 times a week and smile about it? It's not like that, Mallory said, still smiling. You're living here rent-free. It's only fair. That word again. Fair. I thought about the last 3 months. How I sold my home after Frank died. How I spent the payout on his medical bills and Derek's down payment. How I moved into their guest room, their converted laundry room, really thinking I was family. I cooked every meal. Washed every sock. Held Mallory's hair when her morning sickness hit and rubbed her back while she sobbed about stretch marks. Apparently now I was the help. I see, I said quietly, setting the laminated schedule down like it was made of glass. Thank you for clarifying. Mallory looked pleased. See? I knew you'd understand. You're just so reasonable. I smiled. And that smile must have scared her a little because she blinked. I left the kitchen, walked to my room, shut the door, and started packing. But not before making a call. Derek found me an hour later, stuffing my socks into a grocery bag. Mom, come on. Don't be dramatic. I looked at him, really looked, and saw the same boy who used to cry when he couldn't find his Batman pajamas. Now all grown up. And spineless. I'm not being dramatic, Derek. I'm being efficient. Where are you even going? That's the beautiful part. You don't get to know. He scratched the back of his neck. Look, Mallory's just stressed. The pregnancy's been rough. I zipped my suitcase. I gave birth to you while working night shifts and managing Dad's prescriptions. No chore chart required. He flinched. Tell Mallory I won't be needing her broom calendar. And tell her to buy gloves. I won't be scrubbing her toilet anymore. He opened his mouth, closed it, said nothing. I walked past him dragging my suitcase. At the front door I turned back. Oh, and Derek? Yeah. I pulled a small envelope from my purse and set it on the console table. Open this when you understand what you just lost. He stared at it like it was a bomb. Smart boy. 2 hours later, I stepped into a 380 square foot apartment above a liquor store. The air smelled like bleach and loneliness. But it was mine. What they didn't know was that I had options. Frank left me one final forgotten gift. A crumbling fourplex near East Lincoln, inherited from a cousin. I'd ignored it for years. Until now. I smiled at the silence. No one to hand me a schedule. No one to assign me a room. Mallory wanted structure. Oh, she was about to get it. Just not the kind she planned. My new apartment smelled like bleach and broken promises. The first night, I slept on a twin mattress shoved into the corner between a window that wouldn't lock and a radiator that hissed like it was angry at the world. I didn't unpack. Didn't eat. Just sat in the silence and let it wrap around me like a wet wool blanket. The next morning, I woke up to a woman screaming through the wall. Something about custody. Or maybe a car. Hard to tell. Thin drywall doesn't offer much clarity. I boiled water for instant coffee, opened the one cardboard box I brought, and pulled out Frank's old metal file case. The kind with a key I hadn't seen in 3 years. The lock popped open easier than I expected. Inside, medical bills, mortgage statements, expired coupons. But under it all, one envelope. Heavy paper. Frank's handwriting. Deed 1432 E. Lincoln. I stared. That building. We'd inherited it from Frank's cousin Gary years ago. It had been sitting vacant so long I figured the city bulldozed it by now. I never even looked. But the deed was there. Still valid. Still in my name. The house was worse than I imagined. A fourplex barely standing. Windows boarded with mismatched plywood. A rusted "No trespassing" sign hung crooked on the porch railing. Someone had spray-painted a crude drawing of, well, let's call it anatomically aggressive art, across the front door. A man sat on the porch steps. Mid-40s, face like a kicked-in paper bag, holding a bottle in a paper sack like it was glued to his hand. "This place yours?" he asked without looking up. "Might be." He sniffed. "Lady, I hope you got a priest. This place ain't just haunted, it's mad." I stepped over him. Good. So am I. The front door wasn't locked. It wasn't even attached properly. One push and I was inside. Rot. Mold. A smell that could curdle bone marrow. The wallpaper peeled like skin. The ceiling in one unit had collapsed completely, revealing nests of insulation and what I hoped were raccoons. But I saw it. Hardwood floors under the filth. Tall ceilings. A clawfoot tub that could be salvaged. And space, real space. 4 units, each with potential. I stood in the living room of Unit 1A. Took a deep breath, coughed violently and smiled through it. Mallory had her charts. I had blueprints. The first swing of the sledgehammer didn't feel like work. Felt like therapy. Plaster exploded from the wall in a cloud of dust and mold spores. I coughed once, adjusted my respirator and swung again. The sound echoed through the empty fourplex like a gunshot. Every hit was a memory. Mallory's laminated chore chart? Swing. Derek looking at his shoes instead of defending me? Swing. Don't make it weird, Mom. Swing. Crack. Collapse. I was tearing out the kitchen wall in Unit 1B when my phone buzzed in my pocket. I ignored it. Probably a scam call. Or a realtor fishing for desperate sellers. The voicemail icon blinked 5 minutes later. Then again. And again. By the 4th buzz I sighed, pulled off my glove and checked the screen. Derek, 5 missed calls. Interesting. I hit play. Voicemail 1 to 9:47 a.m. Mom, hey, it's Derek. So look, weird question. Is there a trick to getting the washing machine to stop leaking? Or like a reset button or something? Mallory says it's your fault it's acting up now and just call me, okay? Voicemail 2 to 11:02 a.m. Okay, now the dryer's not working either. And the smell in the guest bathroom? I thought you were exaggerating, but, yeah, it smells like something died in the pipes. We tried baking soda. Please call me back. Voicemail 3 to 1:14 p.m. Mom, we need help. Like serious help. Mallory's crying. We're trying to host brunch tomorrow and the kitchen sink is backed up. And everything's going wrong at once. Please, just tell us what to do. I listened with the detached curiosity of a biologist watching rats try to escape a maze. Then just for fun I called back. He picked up on the first ring. Mom? Oh, thank God. Derek, I said evenly. To what do I owe the honor? He hesitated. We, might have underestimated how much you were doing around here. Is that so? There's just a lot happening. And Mallory, she's hormonal. And the baby's coming. And the house is, honestly, Mom, it's falling apart. I stepped over a pile of broken tile. And you thought of me. You always knew how to handle this stuff. I could hear Mallory sobbing in the background. Somewhere a dog barked. Derek lowered his voice. Could you maybe come over? Just for a day or two. Help us reset. Please. I walked over to the busted kitchen window and looked out at the street below. Dust clung to the glass like fingerprints. A metaphor. I'm a little busy, Derek. Doing what? Building a life that doesn't involve being treated like a cleaning lady. A beat of silence. Mom, I'm sorry. I smiled. Not because he meant it, but because he finally said it. Tell Mallory I hope she figures out how to unclog her own future. And I hung up. That night, I lit a candle in my half-renovated living room. The air still smelled faintly of mildew and paint thinner. But it was quiet. Peacefully quiet. I opened my notebook and wrote one line. They cracked first. Good. Tomorrow I'd learn how to lay tile. But tonight? I'd toast to the first real victory. The envelope was cream-colored, stiff, and heavier than it looked. On the front, a name, Jasmine Cortez. Below it in thick pen, Unit 1 12-month lease. I handed it over with both hands like it was sacred. Congratulations, I said. Jasmine blinked twice before taking it. Her little boy, probably 5 or 6, clung to her leg like the world might try to steal her again. This place is really mine? She asked, her voice small. I nodded. It's not much yet. But the roof doesn't leak, the heat works, and nobody here's gonna scream at you for burning toast. She laughed through a tear. Thank you, she whispered. I smiled. Not the sweet kind. The kind that said, you're part of something now. Don't waste it. Back inside, I stood alone in the freshly painted kitchen of Unit 1B, staring at the copy of the lease. At the bottom, landlord, Eleanor Brooks. I traced my name with one finger. It had been a long time since it meant power. I almost framed the first check Jasmine handed me. Instead, I tucked it into a folder labeled Phase 2, Leverage. Sentiment doesn't pay for water heaters. The knock came 3 days later. Crisp. 2 short, 1 long. I opened the door with drywall dust on my hands and a pry bar under my arm. The woman on the porch was in her late 20s. Professional. Tan trench coat. Clipboard, too perfect posture. Mrs. Brooks, she asked. That's me. Danielle Frost, City Zoning Office. We've received a neighbor complaint regarding unauthorized renovations at this address. I raised one brow. You mean someone finally noticed I'm turning this rat palace into something livable? She didn't smile. Do you have your permits on hand? I reached behind me and pulled a folder from the hallway table, already expecting this day. Inside, every permit request timestamped approved in triplicate. She scanned the papers. You've done your homework, she muttered. Lady, I taught the class. Danielle paused at the last page. This property used to belong to Bernard Frost, my uncle. I said nothing. He died here. Alone. No heat. No phone. I used to beg him to move out. My voice was soft. I'm sorry. She glanced around the interior behind me. Don't make this place into another overpriced shoebox. The neighborhood deserves better. I looked her dead in the eyes. It's gonna be clean, safe, and priced for people who work for a living. That good enough for your uncle's memory? She stared at me a beat too long, then nodded once. You'll be getting a formal inspection in a few weeks. You pass, you stay. I was never planning on leaving. The email from the property manager came on a Tuesday. Subject: Prospective tenants, Unit 1C. Young couple, no pets, 1 child on the way. Mid-30s, dual income. They're applying under D. Brooks. Any relation? I stared at the screen. D. Brooks. No, couldn't be. But the next sentence sealed it. He works in insurance. She's freelance, some creative job. Very firm about not wanting landlord contact unless urgent. Of course she was. I told the manager, Alyssa, to go ahead. Process the paperwork. Keep all communication email only. If they ask about ownership, just say it's a holding company. Which in a way it is. Alyssa replied with a thumbs up emoji and a smiley face. I replied with, no emojis. We're doing real estate, not brunch reservations. They moved in 3 days later. I didn't show up for the key handoff. I was unavailable. But I drove by. Mallory came out of the moving van first, sunglasses, scowl, Starbucks in hand. Derek followed, carrying a collapsible crib and looking like a man whose soul had been slowly chewed by IKEA instructions and passive aggression. I parked across the street, behind tinted glass, and watched them drag their suburban dreams into the building I now owned. Poetic. They didn't know. But they would. That night I got my first tenant email from Derek. Subject: Request lighting fixture in 1C. Hi there. We were hoping to request a softer overhead light in the living room. The current fixture is a bit harsh. Also, Mallory would like to know if repainting in a neutral palette is permitted. How nice. They wanted permission. I opened a new document. Typed carefully. Dear Mr. Brooks, thank you for your message. Minor aesthetic updates are permitted with prior written approval. Please provide the proposed paint brand and color codes. Lighting fixture changes must comply with local code. That said, I hope this new home becomes a place where cleaning up after yourselves becomes a habit. One never knows what old habits can resurface. Management. I clicked send. And laughed. Once. Quietly. 2 days later Alyssa called. Okay, this is weird, she said. The wife, Mallory, asked if the landlord would be open to a sit-down conversation. She was vague. Something about long-term arrangement security? She's looking for leverage, I said. Tell her the landlord prefers distance. Can I ask you something? Sure. Why didn't you tell them who you were? I smiled at the wall. Because the best revenge isn't dramatic. Alyssa paused. It's monthly. Exactly. Later that week, Mallory posted on Facebook. Feeling blessed to find a cozy new home with just the right vibes. Fresh start, clean slate, ready for anything. I didn't comment, but I did screenshot it, because slates don't stay clean forever, especially when they owe you back rent in the form of karma. The email came in at 2:17 a.m. Subject: Urgent Complaint Unit 1C. There's an ongoing issue with the bathroom faucet dripping non-stop. Also, the upstairs neighbors walk too loudly. We feel this property is not being managed adequately. Please advise. Classic Mallory. Polite on paper but every word reeking of entitlement. I waited exactly 14 hours and replied. The landlord will meet with you Tuesday at noon to review your concerns. Please be prompt. No signature. No sympathy. Just bait. Tuesday. Noon. Property office. Derek and Mallory walked in together. He wore khakis in defeat. She wore perfume and attitude. Alyssa greeted them. Thanks for coming. The landlord will be with you in just a minute. They sat. Mallory crossed her legs like a courtroom prosecutor. Honestly, this place is overpriced for what it offers. Derek mumbled something about peace and quiet. Then I stepped into the room, clipboard in hand, wearing black slacks, flats, and a linen blouse with buttons that actually closed. I looked every bit the woman who signs checks others depend on. Mallory's eyes widened. Derek stood. Mom. I nodded. Have a seat. Mallory blinked twice. You wait, what? I own this building, I said simply. Welcome to our first tenant review. You tricked us, Mallory hissed. No, I said calmly, flipping to their lease agreement. You never asked who owned the building. You assumed like always. Derek looked like he wanted the floor to open up and swallow him. You leased this property through a licensed agent, I continued. At market rate. Fair contract. Clear terms. You signed it. Mallory leaned forward. This is unethical. Charging you rent? No, manipulating us. Making us tenants in your little revenge fantasy. I closed the folder. I didn't put a gun to your head, Mallory. I didn't force you to move in. I didn't make you lie on the application. Or pretend to be someone else's problem. You did that all on your own. Mallory's voice dropped to a hiss. If this gets out, people will think you're petty. I smiled. Let them. I'm not being petty. I'm being profitable. Derek finally spoke. Why didn't you just tell us? Because I wanted to see what kind of tenants you'd be when you thought you were anonymous. Turns out predictable. Mallory's jaw clenched. We'll break the lease. We'll move out. You're free to do that, I replied. But you'll forfeit your deposit, trigger early termination penalties, and receive a lovely stain on your rental history. She froze. Derek leaned forward, palms on his knees. We just want peace, Mom. You want comfort, I corrected. Peace takes work. And you two have never exactly been great at that. Mallory scoffed. You think you're so powerful just because you own the place. I stared at her. No. I think I'm powerful because I stopped letting you use me. And look at that. Suddenly your whole life started falling apart. Mallory opened her mouth again. I raised a hand. You may stay. But the next complaint better be about fire or flood. I don't manage egos, just plumbing. Derek nodded once. Mallory said nothing. I turned, left the room and didn't look back. The rent reminder email went out on the 27th. Subject: Friendly reminder, rent due soon. Per your lease, rent is due on the 1st. A $75 late fee applies after the 5th. This is an automated message. Do not reply. But reply they did. Mallory Brooks. Hi, we're wondering if a grace period is possible this month. Our checks are staggered, and it would help if we had until the 10th. I waited 1 hour. Then responded. Per lease section 4. 2. Rent is due on the 1st. Grace period not extended. Timeliness is expected from all tenants equally. No signature. No sympathy. They paid on the 6th. I applied the $75 late fee. Then another $25 for failure to confirm receipt of the rent reminder within 72 hours. Clause 5. 6. Buried in the fine print they never read. That evening I got a message. Mallory Brooks. $100 in fees? Really? This is punitive. No, Mallory. It's contractual. Friday she came to the office. Stormed in. No appointment. I want to speak with whoever's in charge, she snapped. I looked up from my clipboard. You're speaking to her. This is getting ridiculous. I closed the folder. You signed the lease. But this isn't how you treat family. I stood. You stopped treating me like family the moment you laminated a chore chart with my name on it. Now I'm treating you like what you wanted. A tenant. You're punishing us. No. I'm billing you. She fumed. This is extortion. Alyssa walked in then. Need a witness for this conversation? I smiled. Already handled, but thank you. Mallory turned red, spun on her heel, and left without another word. Derek showed up the next day. Alone. I need to talk to you. Just me. I let him into the office. Closed the door. Sat across from him. He looked tired. Older. He fidgeted with his wedding ring. We're struggling. That happens when you live outside your means. We weren't prepared for how tight things would get. The baby's due in 2 months. Mallory's hormonal. I'm trying to keep it all together. I folded my hands. And you think that's my job to fix? No, he said quickly. I was hoping you'd consider reducing rent. Even short term. You make $6,200 a month between you. The rent is $1,850. You live in the lowest priced unit in the building. He looked down. I'm your mother, Derek. But I'm not your backup plan anymore. You gave that up the day you let her push me out of your house. He nodded slowly, said nothing more, then left. That night, a new email appeared in the inbox. Subject: Formal complaint against management. This is a written grievance regarding the tone and behavior of current management. We feel targeted and disrespected, and are exploring legal options. I read it, smiled, then forwarded it to myself. Complaint received. Rent is still due. They thought rent was just money, but I was collecting everything they owed me, one clause at a time. The decision to evict someone shouldn't be made in anger. That's what James Pratt said during the landlord roundtable last Thursday. James owns 7 duplexes in a temper, and he's evicted more tenants than I've had birthdays. But even he said it. Eviction ain't revenge. It's leverage. You don't threaten. You offer a choice. Stay better or leave faster. I didn't come to that meeting to learn, but I walked out with a plan. That night I reread Derek and Mallory's lease. Section 9. 1. Alterations. No modifications to plumbing, electrical, or structural elements without written approval. Section 12. 3. Conduct. Tenant behavior that reflects negatively on the property owner or management, including public defamation, is grounds for termination of lease. I smiled. Then Alyssa forwarded me the post. At account with fake name. Beware slumlords disguised as family. When your landlord is a controlling narcissist who thinks a faucet leak justifies emotional terrorism, you learn quickly. Some women weaponize motherhood. Hashtag landlord from hell. Hashtag toxic family. It didn't name me. Didn't have to. The profile picture was a filtered selfie of Mallory in our building's stairwell. The hashtags did the rest. Called her in. Not via email. Not through Alyssa. A formal letter taped to her door. Please report to the property office Thursday at 2 p.m. This is a required meeting regarding digital conduct and contractual violations. You may bring representation. She showed up alone. Mallory sat stiff across from me, arms crossed, lips pinched. This is harassment, she said before I'd even opened the folder. No, I said quietly. This is clarity. I slid the printout of her post across the table. Her eyes flicked to it, then back to me. You're not even tagged, she said. You tagged my building. You used your face. You posted from my stairwell. You can't prove I meant you. Section 12(3), I said, tapping the lease. Tenant behavior that reflects negatively on the owner. Signed by you. Initialed by you. Enforceable by me. Mallory leaned forward. You don't scare me. That's good, I said. Because scared people make poor decisions. You, Mallory, are about to make a choice. Her voice cracked. You're bluffing. I slid another paper across. Notice of lease violation, formal warning. You have 48 hours to delete the post and issue a public clarification, or I will escalate to full termination proceedings. She stared at the page like it was on fire. This is over a Facebook post. This is over pattern, I said. Disrespect. Disruption. Debt. Now defamation. It ends here. Or it ends legally. Silence. I just wanted people to know what it's like, she mumbled. I leaned forward. What it's like is living in a clean, renovated unit for a price below market. What it's like is being given chance after chance, and still playing the victim when held accountable. Her eyes welled up. I was angry. I felt small. Then maybe don't throw stones from a glass basement. She deleted the post that night. The next morning I received a new email. Subject. Clarification post. Per agreement. Just want to say we're grateful to have a place to call home. Things aren't always easy, but accountability goes both ways. Hoping to move forward with respect. I didn't reply. Instead, I printed the message and slid it into their file. On top of the warning. Underneath the clause. Because she wanted an audience. Now she'd perform under pressure. The decision to evict someone shouldn't be made in anger. That's what James Pratt said during the landlord roundtable last Thursday. James owns 7 duplexes and a temper, and he's evicted more tenants than I've had birthdays. But even he said it. Eviction ain't revenge. It's leverage. You don't threaten. You offer a choice, stay better or leave faster. I didn't come to that meeting to learn, but I walked out with a plan. That night I reread Derek and Mallory's lease. Section 9. 1. Alterations. No modifications to plumbing, electrical, or structural elements without written approval. Section 12. 3. Conduct. Tenant behavior that reflects negatively on the property owner or management, including public defamation, is grounds for termination of lease. I smiled. Then Alyssa forwarded me the post. At account with fake name. Beware slumlords disguised as family. When your landlord is a controlling narcissist who thinks a faucet leak justifies emotional terrorism, you learn quickly. Some women weaponize motherhood. Hashtag landlord from hell. Hashtag toxic family. It didn't name me. Didn't have to. The profile picture was a filtered selfie of Mallory in our building stairwell. The hashtags did the rest. Called her in. Not via email. Not through Alyssa. A formal letter taped to her door. Please report to the property office Thursday at 2 p.m. This is a required meeting regarding digital conduct and contractual violations. You may bring representation. She showed up alone. Mallory sat stiff across from me, arms crossed, lips pinched. This is harassment, she said before I'd even opened the folder. No, I said quietly. This is clarity. I slid the printout of her post across the table. Her eyes flicked to it, then back to me. You're not even tagged, she said. You tagged my building. You used your face. You posted from my stairwell. You can't prove I meant you. Section 12(3), I said, tapping the lease. Tenant behavior that reflects negatively on the owner. Signed by you. Initialed by you. Enforceable by me. Mallory leaned forward. You don't scare me. That's good, I said. Because scared people make poor decisions. You, Mallory, are about to make a choice. Her voice cracked. You're bluffing. I slid another paper across. Notice of lease violation, formal warning. You have 48 hours to delete the post and issue a public clarification, or I will escalate to full termination proceedings. She stared at the page like it was on fire. This is over a Facebook post. This is over pattern, I said. Disrespect. Disruption. Debt. Now defamation. It ends here. Or it ends legally. Silence. I just wanted people to know what it's like, she mumbled. I leaned forward. What it's like is living in a clean, renovated unit for a price below market. What it's like is being given chance after chance, and still playing the victim when held accountable. Her eyes welled up. I was angry. I felt small. Then maybe don't throw stones from a glass basement. She deleted the post that night. The next morning I received a new email. Subject: clarification post, per agreement. Just want to say we're grateful to have a place to call home. Things aren't always easy, but accountability goes both ways. Hoping to move forward with respect. I didn't reply. Instead, I printed the message and slid it into their file. On top of the warning, underneath the clause, because she wanted an audience. Now she'd perform under pressure. The voicemail came just after 9 a.m. Hi, Mom. It's me, Derek. Listen, I was hoping we could talk. In person. No yelling, no drama. Just talk. He sounded tired. But more than that, he sounded cornered. I replied the only way I do now, professionally. Tuesday, 3 p.m. Office. Bring all financial documents. This is a business meeting. They arrived together. No eye contact, no makeup. Mallory's confidence had worn off like cheap foundation. Derek looked like someone who hadn't slept in days. I didn't offer them water. This wasn't a courtesy call. Derek opened first. We've talked a lot, the two of us. And we know we've made mistakes. Big ones. Honestly, we weren't prepared for what this would turn into. And now we're trying to clean it up before it becomes permanent damage. Mallory's tone was flatter. Less polished than usual. We want to fix things, Eleanor. The lease, the tension, the whole power dynamic. We don't want to fight anymore. I waited. Derek reached into his folder and pulled out a pre-written sheet. We're offering a buyout. Full purchase of the building at current market appraisal. Or if you're not open to selling, we'd like to negotiate a long-term ownership share. Silent if you prefer. I didn't touch the paper. Instead, I looked at them both. You want to buy your way out of a power structure you built for yourselves. That's not negotiation. That's panic disguised as generosity. Mallory stiffened. We're trying to meet you halfway. No. What you're trying to do is take control. Again. Only this time you're offering a check instead of a laminated chart. Derek leaned forward, his voice quieter now. We're drowning, Mom. Between the rent, the bills, the baby coming, we're barely staying above water. We thought if we could just buy the property, maybe we could reset everything. Before I could respond, Derek's phone rang. He glanced down. Froze. It's the bank, he muttered. I need to take this. He stepped out. Mallory exhaled. Then finally looked me in the eye. I know you think I'm the villain. That I took your son from you and twisted him into something selfish. And maybe that's not entirely wrong. But I swear to you I didn't think it would end up like this. I didn't think we'd end up begging for peace in a room with a woman who used to make us lasagna on Sundays. I said nothing. Derek came back in pale. He didn't sit. That was our bank. The car notes being called in. Full balance due. Apparently, one missed payment triggers their clause. We have 10 business days or it goes to collections. They both looked at me now. Like I was a lifeline. I leaned back in my chair. I'm not selling. Not the building. Not the land. Not the story. But I'm open to structure. Under my terms. Mallory swallowed. What kind of structure? I pulled out my own paper. Typed. Signed. Ready. Option 1. Rent remains unchanged but you pay on time in full, every month for the next 12 months. No grace period, no excuses. One violation and I trigger the clause for removal. Option 2. I restructure your lease into a work-to-own trial. You enroll in financial literacy counseling, both of you. You submit monthly budgets to my accountant. Mallory volunteers 20 hours a month at the local shelter. Derek transfers the car title to me as collateral. We revisit ownership options after 12 months of perfect compliance. Derek sat back down. That's strict. No. That's accountability. What you've never had. Mallory was trembling. This feels humiliating. So did being thrown out of your house with my dignity folded into a grocery bag. You didn't ask if that felt humiliating. They went quiet. After a long pause, Derek asked, "And if we agree?" I folded my hands. "Then we begin again. On a paper trail, not a pity path." Mallory whispered, "We'll do it. Everything. Just give us a chance." I pushed the paper forward. "Initial every clause. Sign at the bottom. And remember, this isn't forgiveness. It's structure. Learn it. Live it." They thought buying me out meant buying me off. What they signed was ownership. By me. Over them. 1 year. 12 rent cycles. 4 inspections. 1 passive-aggressive Thanksgiving card from Mallory that read, "Grateful for growth. Hope you are too." And now, compliance review. I opened the manila folder marked Phase 3 and read through every page of the signed agreement. Derek and Mallory had honored each condition. They paid on time. They submitted monthly budgets. Mallory logged her 20 hours a month at the shelter, peeling potatoes and scrubbing floors with a humility I never thought I'd witness. Derek never missed a payment. Not for rent, not for the car loan, not even the trash collection fee I added just to see if they'd notice. They noticed. They paid it anyway. Tuesday, 11 a.m. Final meeting. They came early. Mallory wore slacks and a cable-knit sweater. No jewelry, no lashes. Derek looked older but in a good way, like someone who'd been through fire and come out with new skin. I motioned for them to sit. Derek cleared his throat. "Thank you for meeting with us. And for everything this past year. We know we were difficult." Mallory looked at me steady. "We don't expect anything. But if there's any chance to continue here long-term, we'd be grateful for the opportunity." I slid a thin folder across the table. Mallory opened it. Inside, a deed. "To clarify," I said, "this is not for the building. I'm not handing over my empire. This is for Unit 1C, the one you live in. It's been subdivided and restructured as a condo. You own it now. You paid for it with 12 months of discipline I never thought you had." Derek stared. Mallory blinked. "Are you serious?" "This isn't a gift," I said. "This is documentation. Proof that growth can be measured in contracts, not apologies." Mallory swallowed. "Thank you. Truly." Derek leaned forward. "Does this mean we can be a family again?" I smiled, slow and deliberate. "There's always room for family," I said. "But not everyone gets a key to the main house."